Let's turn to Ryan Mauro, national security analyst at the Clarion Project. Ryan, nice to have you with us. Ryan, what is Iran aiming to achieve with this centrifuge display?
I think that they are trying to deter any possible European cooperation with President Trump in the United States in regards to sanctions, and they're trying to strengthen the hands of the Europeans to say to the U.S., look, if you're going to sanction Iran, don't do it too much, because if you make them angry, they're going to start mass producing these advanced centrifuges. And as part of this announcement that the Iranian regime had, they said they have this new workshop and they're going to be able to build something like 60 centrifuges every single day. So they're talking about producing these things en masse, which really does change the dynamics of the Middle East in terms of the nuclear question.
Do you think that this leverage or subtle warning is going to have any impact on the Europeans?
I think that Iranian money makes more impact. It's very obvious that the Europeans are incentivized through the business deals, and then we all know how business is. The top leaders hang out with politicians, and how that game is played. And the Iranian regime has been gambling that would make them sanctions proof, that through corrupting European politics, making them excited about what Iranian business can do for the economy, that Europe would not go along with sanctions in the future. So what I would recommend to President Trump is that he publicly call out the Europeans and say, Iran is talking about doing this, mass producing these advanced centrifuges that can be easily hidden and enable a secret nuclear weapons program. What are your red lines? Or do you have no red lines?
Right.
What sanctions are you going to put in place if Iran goes this far? And make them answer that question publicly.
Ryan, it's interesting that you stress the Europeans' focus on the economic agenda, because Netanyahu was trying to push the refugee narrative. He was making the point during his recent trip to the UK and to meet with those European leaders as well, that Iran's goals in the region could lead to a conflict that could lead to more refugees heading to Europe, really stressing this point. Now, as we know, Europe is struggling with the refugee crisis. Do you think the tactic here could be to get Europe to pay attention, because do refugees trump economic interests, perhaps?
I think in general what you're seeing happen is that Iran is playing upon this really discredited but still pervasive idea that their cooperation can be won if you're nice enough to them. That the problem thus far has been that you have ideologues on both sides who are not rational and can't come to a deal by coming to the table. I mean, that's a very common narrative that you hear, is this dismissal of what Iran wants to do ideologically and what they're devoted to. But it's very important to make that point, that there is the European argument, which says that the U.S. and its tough stance on the Iranian nuclear program is going to stir up instability and therefore create refugees, when in reality, what's more likely to create refugees is an Iranian nuclear weapons arsenal. And that's what they're planning for. It's not a nuclear bomb. It's not a few nuclear bombs. It's that when they hit the lights on, all of a sudden, you're not dealing with a nuclear-armed Iran with a few bombs. It's an arsenal.
Yeah. Ryan, thank you so much. We're going to have to leave it there. Ryan Mauro, always appreciate your insight. Thanks for being with us. All right, turning to